Welcome to A Shot of Ag. I'm your host, Rob Sharkey. Hey, what if you own a farm but you're not quite sure what to do with it? Well, our guest today is going to give you some good ideas. Today we're talking with Chris Baumann. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Where are you from?
I'm from Morton, Illinois.
From Morton, that's where you grew up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's a big in pumpkins.
It's the pumpkin capital of the world. Self-proclaimed.
So
I'm
they
sure.
say.
Yes,
so
they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you live now then?
I live in Morton.
So you raised there and you still live there?
To this day.
Okay.
Yes.
You have got a company called CommonGround, which
Yes.
we're going to get into, but let's go back to little Chris, okay?
Little Chris.
Little Chris growing up. What was your first business before CommonGround?
My first business was actually a mowing company at the age of 11.
Really?
Yeah.
Riders or pushers?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of grass cut.
There is a lot of grass in this world.
It was a lot. I don't cut my grass now, just for that very reason. I said, if I ever hit it big time, I'm not cutting my own grass.
Now, when you are in the lawn business, is it the grass cutting that's is important, or is it the trimming?
It's both.
Yeah.
I think they go hand in hand.
Okay. Did you do the stripes?
No.
Okay.
The stripes weren't in back in the day.
Okay. So after your illustrious landscaping business, what do you have after that?
I actually went into landscaping in high school after that. My dad told me, you're 16, you can drive, so it's time to go get a real job. So I did that. And I wound up going to Illinois State University, getting a degree in construction management.
Redbirds.
I like that. Go Redbirds. Yeah. And after graduating college, I got into construction management and real estate and started buying mechanical companies. Kind of a weird transition.
What do you mean a mechanical company?
Like heating and air, plumbing, mechanical.
Oh, HVAC.
Yeah, kind of ties in with the construction side of things.
You did that, and you were successful at that.
Yeah, fairly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, so just tell me the story about buying this farm.
So through my success, my hobbies, hunting, fishing, outdoors.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Get the wife, get the kids out of town, get them off the iPad. So through my success, I was very fortunate in 2013 to purchase my first actual hobby farm.
It's just a huge deal.
It was
big investment.
It was a big investment. Lifelong dream of mine. I told my wife from the week we met that was a dream of mine, was to own my own piece of ground, and achieve that goal at a young age. And upon closing, I went out there and realized that I've got my hobby farm, and now I got some tillable ground that I never really gave any thought to.
So tillable ground that could actually be farmed.
Yeah, production, row crop, corn, soybeans. There was roughly about 50 acres out of the 160 acres I purchased.
Okay.
Yep. So didn't really know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And
you're not a farmer.
I am not a farmer. I have no ag background at that time.
Yeah.
And wound up talking to one of the neighbors, and he said, hey, the guy you got farming your ground currently, he's okay, but he's not that good. I'd talk to the other guy next door. And I said, okay, you clearly don't care for.
What's the beef there?
I never got an answer. And
Gotta be something.
I'll be honest, I didn't ask.
Probably went back to a woman in high school.
Could be.
Yeah,
Could be.
pretty much. Okay.
I'm not one to prognosticate, but
I don't even know what that means.
Imagine.
Moving on.
So I went over to the neighbor. I put my business card in his mailbox and said, hey, talk to me about farming. And we met. We talked, and we agreed to do a 50-50.
Yeah, so sharecropping.
Sharecropping. I became a sharecropper. And I guess that was the right thing to do at the time. And
well, and for people that don't know, basically you take all the expenses, like the seed, the chemicals, the fertilizer, and you guys split those costs.
Yes.
So he's getting a seed bill. He's sending you half of it. You write him a check.
Yep.
And then at the end, when he harvests it, so he does all the work.
Yes.
With his equipment, and when he harvests it, then you guys split the grain.
Split the grain, yes. So I get my share of the crop at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And we did that for a few years and got along, and then me being an entrepreneur and had some spare time, I started running the math and figuring out, okay, how much is this farm returning? What am I getting on my asset?
You're a numbers guy?
I can be, yeah.
Well, I mean, there's three types of people in this world. Those people that can do math and those that don't.
I would say I'm a numbers guy. Yes. I can do some math.
I would say you're a numbers guy because obviously the humor is not your strong point.
It is not.
Yeah.
Not. I would agree.
Okay, so
we are in the same boat.
So we have a farm.
Yes.
Now, I think a lot of landowners get to a position where it's a little tedious. Farmers like sharecropping because it's the fairest to them, because when things are good, it's good for everybody. When things are bad, they share it with you. But a lot of times it gets tedious because every single bill they have to send you, was it split right? And especially if like the ground is owned by 3 or 4 people, then it
Yes.
gets to be a mess. So you're in that situation and you're thinking, let's figure something out better.
And for me, it was more or less like, the numbers are a little less than what I was expecting, but it was more of getting the seed bills, getting the fertilizer bills, figuring everything out at the end of the year to see where I stood. And finally, I just called them up and I said, look, I don't need to be a 50-50 partner in a business that I don't really know a whole lot about. I want a cash rental agreement. Let's do a cash rent agreement. And that way I know what I'm getting every year, and I'm not getting bills. Let's set it and forget it.
So basically, he's paying you set amount per acre, and then
I get that.
he takes all the expenses, and he takes all the crop.
And all the risk.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's benefits to both.
There are.
Yeah.
Yes, I would agree.
Okay, so now you're in the cash rent business.
I am not in the cash rent business because we could not agree on a cash rental rate.
Oh.
And that's what led me on this journey was, I said, let's do a cash rental agreement. And he said, okay, well, I can pay you this much in rent.
Yeah.
Me being a numbers guy, said, well, that's about what I'm making now. And, having a background in real estate and construction and that whole thing, I had some rental properties at the time, and I still do. And I just found it odd that a tenant was telling me what they can pay in rent. Where in a rent house, I set the price, the tenant doesn't. So that set me on a little bit of a journey to do some price discovery, to say, hey, I need to learn more about what I have and what it's worth so I can educate myself. And found the data available was very fragmented, hard to come by, no real good sources to say this ground in this area should be worth this.
No.
There's not.
No.
So I found that part very tedious, and but I GPSed my farm, figured out I had a couple more acres than I thought I had, and I pulled soil samples, figured out what soil I was dealing with, and just did everything I could to educate myself. And then I did the next best thing after compiling the data. I went to some of my buddies that farm that I went to school with, and I said, here's some data, what would you pay in rent? And I got different numbers across the board of varying degree. And that's when it dawned on me that farming is a business. Every farming operation is a different size, a different overhead structure, a different risk tolerance. And I saw an opportunity for landowners like myself who are either uneducated, uninformed, to really give them a resource where they can quickly go and find the value of their ground, which we have on CommonGround. It's called a cash rent estimate. Very quick and easy. Cash rent estimate.
Did you just make that up? Restimate. Rentstimate.
Rent estimate.
I've never heard that word before.
It's supposed to be hard to say.
Because you made it up.
Actually, Brad, my partner, made it up.
Well, okay, somebody made it up.
Somebody made it up. Well, like a zestimate on, it's
Brad, your
catchy.
partner, he's the one with a sense of humor.
Yes, I would agree. That's why we make a good team.
You and Brad, I mean, you guys, you have this company, CommonGround.
Yes.
Okay, so this is built out of the situation you had. So explain how this works.
So this works very, very simple.
Okay.
If you're a
I like
landowner,
that. Yeah.
we use the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. If you're,
that's funny.
Think of how much you're learning today.
That's learning should be going
I thought
both
it wasn't
ways.
funny.
And, well, you didn't come up with
I'm
it. All
turning
right,
the
focus.
So, as a landowner, my struggle was price discovery. So
Yeah.
the cash rent estimate, you quickly go, zoom in on a map, click your parcel, and we auto-segment the tillable ground, and then it tells you, hey, based off of this location, this soil type, the weather, this county data, it's drilled down to the county level, here's what an expected rent range would be. And you can compare that to what you're currently getting. If you want to utilize the services further, it's 100% free to educate yourself, and then you can actually list your farm on the site, and then we market it to every farmer in our database and every grower within a 60-mile radius, and we allow farmers to go through a bidding process to bid on leasing that ground. So
The mapping, I shouldn't be undersold. I let a farm go one time because it was 40 acres-ish, and there was 8 acres that wasn't there. And I know this because with my GPS, when I planted it, I'm like there, and I went to the guy, and boy, he wasn't happy. He
Really?
thought I was trying to cheat him. I'm showing him the stuff.
Here's the GPS.
But it's just what it was always done.
Yeah.
I don't know if the trees have moved in or whatever over the 50 years that he's owned it.
We
but-
see that.
Yeah.
We see that.
So that's something that is extremely, I would say, valuable to both sides, so you don't have arguments like I did with that rather rude gentleman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have ground, you can put it up on here, and then what do you have, farmers just bid on it?
Yes, so we market it to the farmers in the area. If they're interested, they can jump on the site, they can view the farm, the soil maps, they can take tours if they request, and they get all the information that they need, and then they can start bidding.
Yeah.
And it is a bidding process. The landowner sets the time frame, so they could set a 30-day window for bids, a 40-day window, 45-day, and then at the end, it's a soft close auction. So if there's the guy that's sitting there with 1 second left and puts in his bid, then we add time to the clock to give
That
everybody that
The
guy,
eBay guy.
the eBay
Yeah.
guy. So it's a soft close. And what that does is allows everybody to get in their best and highest bid. And once that closes, it's over. And then the landowner has a copy and a record of all these bids, who's bid, their farmer profile. Every farmer on the site fills out a resume or a farmer profile, as we call it.
Yeah.
And then they can start to sift through all these bidders, and then they select whichever one they want.
Can I use a fake photo on my farmer profile?
I would suggest you do. You told me to step up my game on the comedy side of things.
Still waiting. All right. So here's the thing. There are farmers that will bid high and then treat your ground like crud.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can do you have the ability, do you have to take the highest bid?
You do not have to take the highest bid, and I would say probably 80% of the time, high bid does not win.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. And we leave it up to the landowner. Some landowners are more involved than others, and we will help as little or as much as that landowner requests. We have landowners that say, "Hey, I've narrowed it down to these 3 guys. Can you help me gather up some letters of solvency from financial institutions?
Yeah.
Can you help me get some references or letters of recommendation?"
Well, as a farmer, how am I supposed to write a rubber check then?
You can't. The days of that are waning.
I know,
So-
it's not. You remember you used to have you'd write a check and then you knew you had a day to get it into the bank. Can't do that anymore.
I still write checks for everything.
I know, but you don't have that day, right? It's like if they go cash a check, it's like
Immediate.
It's
Yeah.
not so fun anymore.
So yeah, and landowners, I mean, we've had some people say, "Hey, I want this guy to get it. I know he's $20 cheaper, but he's in his mid-30s and I want to give a young farmer a shot."
Okay.
And
Yeah.
if he does good, he can be on the ground for the next 30 years.
It's his ground or her ground. They can do what they want of it. I like that part of
We
it.
empower the landowner to choose
Yeah.
whoever they want.
But if you do have that couple that has, I say, like, they inherited ground, right? Mm-hmm. And they've been out of farming, they've been living in town, they really don't know the game. Yeah, this would be right up their alley.
Absolutely. We have people call, I had a guy from Mexico call me.
Like
He
the
was
country?
The country.
Ah.
He was sitting at his place. He lived in Mexico. He inherited ground, and it was in South Dakota and Minnesota. And he actually doubled his rent through the site
Nice.
because he said, "I don't know what I'm doing. I inherited it. I'm
Well,
getting this." And I
Yeah.
said, "Well, you should be getting twice as much."
And a lot of times these older, when you have the folks that are older and have had that tenant forever, it's time to pony up.
Well, it's just having a discussion about what's fair for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a dual-sided marketplace. The farmer has to be profitable.
Yeah.
But the landowner, has rising costs as well of carrying this ground, and we want to see them get a fair shake. And, we see a lot of instances where landowners come to our platform, get the estimate of what their ground should be valued, and they say, "Well, I really like my farmer." I'm like, "Great, he's awesome. I'm sure you do." But put it out on the platform, let him know what you're doing, and give him the opportunity to bid. We see it all the time. A lot of times that farmer continues to farm that ground. It just took the pain point and the conversation out of it to say,
awkward.
Here's where the market is.
Yeah.
The farmer might be $20 less, $40 less. We had one that was $100 less. And he stayed on the ground because they liked him. But it just kind of says, hey, we're just feeling this out and seeing what the market's going to do. We want you to continue, so as long as you're close, throw your hat in the ring.
It's like you're taking a game of chess and making it into checkers.
Segue, I like it.
What is this?
Well, this is a set of chess pieces. Well, not a set, two of them. So you've got a knight and a king. Those are the cheap plastic ones. You can pick those up and touch them.
What's the story behind them?
So, I wanted to bring something. Speaks a little bit about me as a person, but it's a little unknown fact that I am an avid chess player. I love to play chess.
I'm actually a grandmaster.
Really? I didn't think so.
Yeah.
So I brought these because I grew up playing chess. My dad taught me how to play chess, and this was his set, the little plastic one from when he was about 6 years old, so 1954.
Yeah, kind of a standard.
Yes.
Cheaper set.
Yeah. So he actually worked for Caterpillar up the road for 42 years, and he wound up traveling all around the world.
Okay.
And he spent a lot of time in South America, and one day he was going into a mine and in Peru, and he found this guy that did stone carving. So the next time he was down in Peru, he took his childhood set and handed it to the guy and said, "Can you carve this?"
You know what? I thought this was the original one, and I thought you were going to tell a story of being like a 3D printer.
No. Those are hand carved based off of that.
That's unreal.
So he took that set down that he got as a 6-year-old in the early 50s, and he said, "Can you carve this set?" And he said, "I can do it. You're going to have to give me some time." He said, "Well, I want one for myself and one for each of my 3 boys." And he said, "Well, give me about a month and a half to do it."
For all of them?
For all of them. And so he had the white stone, but he had to jump on a bus and travel 2 hours to get the black stone for the other stuff.
Oh, crazy.
So at the end of a month and a half, my dad was back in Peru with that carver, and he picked up 4 of these hand-carved sets for $125 a piece.
Extremely detailed.
That's why I brought them.
They look a lot better than the original ones. Well, that's really cool.
$125. So my father and myself and 2 brothers.
I feel like they're going to fall down now. Now that I know what they mean, let's move them back a little bit.
So pretty cool.
Too.
Could you imagine hand carving and the board?
Yeah.
Hand carving for $125.
Dude, I can't even hand carve a ham. I couldn't imagine doing this. Good night.
So that's why I brought those, and I actually teach my son to play chess on these plastic ones, so these don't get broke.
I do not blame you.
Yeah.
Let's go back to CommonGround. You have the dating, the Tinder site you were talking about.
Yes.
You guys also have another product. Tell me about the insurance.
So through this journey, we had a common pain point, a common theme.
Okay.
And Brad and I always go about this with dual-sided marketplace in mind. We need to drive value for both the farmer and the landowner. Yeah, we're increasing landowner ROI. Yes, we're giving farmers opportunities to rent ground they otherwise never would have heard of. But we kept seeing the same reoccurring theme with these higher rental rates and longer term leases.
Yeah.
And it's like catching a falling knife at that point. If you're paying extremely high rent and commodity prices go down, you can get upside down pretty quick.
Which is where we're at right now.
Current market conditions,
yeah.
Yes. So luckily, about 16 months ago, we met with Hudson Crop. They're based out of Kansas City, Missouri area, and they're one of the AIPs for federal crop insurance.
AIPs.
Approved insurance provider for federal crop insurance.
They're accredited.
Yeah, accredited. Yeah, approved, accredited, yes. So, met with them, had
I love
dinner.
interviewing people that don't really like me that much.
He's up next. So, when you're selling federal crop insurance, it's the same product for everybody. It's the same price, the same product.
Yep.
Everybody's got the same trick in the bag.
Yeah.
Well, AIPs are allowed to have private products that they create on their own. So, through this theme and pain point that we saw happening, we worked with Hudson Crop to create the CLIP, which is Cash Lease Insurance Protection. And basically, it is an insurance policy you can buy on your rented ground. So it's lease specific. You can elect the coverage, and that way, if commodity prices drop, you have locked in insurance at a higher price.
Because that's always a fear, right? I mean, I want to be aggressive, so I go out and I bid high. But then it's like, do I sell now? Because if the prices go down, I'm going to be dinked on that. But now I have this ability to actually insure that.
Correct. So if you went out and got aggressive and you say, hey, I'm paying $500 for this ground, which is aggressive, and it's aggressive.
It's too high. Yeah. Anyway,
especially right now.
Continue.
Let's say you did that last year when corn was at $6.
Which there's been times where it might have been considered okay.
And so you're locked in for $500.
Yeah.
So now you're looking at it saying, okay, where is my break even with the given prices? Maybe that's $300 rent. So you can watch the markets, and when prices start to tick up, you can buy an insurance policy for maybe $100 or $200 of that rental payment. So at harvest time, if prices are down, that can trigger that insurance policy to cover that rent to make sure you're in good standing with your landlord, able to make that payment.
300 is still too much.
Hey,
I am a farmer, right?
anything is too much.
That's around $100.
Sounds perfect.
This is why you have your app, right?
That is correct. This is for this conversation exactly.
It almost sounds complex, but when you explain it, it's pretty simple.
It's very simple. It's very simple. We have people on staff. We actually have CommonGround Insurance Group. So we started an insurance company. We've got several agents that are great. They explain it. It's very simple. It's all about timing and watching the markets and buying the insurance at the right time.
Okay. Do you like being an entrepreneur?
I absolutely love it and hate it both at the same time. I would much rather be a farmer.
I mean, oh, good Lord. So this CommonGround, is this your full-time gig now?
Yeah, pretty much, yep.
Yeah, so you're going all in.
Yes, I have gone all in with this, and it's been a journey, but it's very rewarding when you talk with landowners that you change your lives. When they're on a fixed income and they went from $200 rent to $375, and you've added that to their annual income, it's awesome. And when you see farmers pick up ground and they're ecstatic, I mean, we've had one younger farmer pick up 500 acres and he's able to, and it's stories like that you're adding value, you're being a good steward, you're really helping find that price equilibrium and give opportunities to everybody out there.
That's why I like it as a farmer, because at least I can have a chance at it. If I get outbid, or if they're going to do something, shovel her driveway or something like that, fine. But at least I had a shot at it.
And when I met with the farmers before this, even got kicked off, I said, "What do you think of this idea?" And they're like, "Actually, I kind of like it, because nothing aggravates them more than finding out somebody got a piece of ground rented without them getting a shot at it."
Yeah.
And we know the cost of ground, the cost of capital, and as a farmer wanting to grow your operation, leasing ground is a great way to do it. So you'd want to know about every opportunity that's out there.
Let's say I own some ground and I want to check this out. Where do I go?
CommonGround.io.
CommonGround.io.
Yes.
I imagine CommonGround.com is locked up.
It was cashy.
Was it?
Yeah. I don't remember the number.
$1 million bucks?
No, it wasn't that. It's like a couple $100,000 or something.
Whew.
Yeah.
Get those names early, huh?
Yes. So we opted for the CommonGround.io.
Okay. Any social media?
You can join the Common Ground community. Just type in Common Ground on Facebook, and I'm sure there's Instagram out there, but I'm not on it. And
is Common Ground on there?
On
Instagram?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not.
You might want to find that out.
It is.
Okay.
It is. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Because you're Common Ground Chris.
I am Common Ground Chris.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like your videos. I like your ideas. As a farmer, of course, I'm wary about staying competitive and having my cash rents be, but yeah.
And to that point, if you're a farmer, all our auction results are backfed into that cash rent estimate. So when you go on, you can go check what ground, and when you get the cash rent estimate, that's pretty much what it's going for in the area. So you know what it takes to be competitive. So maybe you head that off at the pass.
Okay, I like it. I'm going to try it out. I'm going to get on it for sure. Chris Baumann from Morton, Illinois, CommonGround. Thank you for coming. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see your journey into agriculture.
It's been fun.
I wish you nothing but success.
Thank you.
Chris, thank you. Everybody else, we'll catch you next week.